In this video, I'm going to show you a number of ways that you can enhance your grids or tables in Knack with some really simple keywords and changes in KTL. Before I jump in and show you how to add these, if you do get some value from these videos, please do consider subscribing. About 60% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed, so if you can, hit the button, I'd really appreciate it. Okay, so let's now jump in. So what we have on this page is a fairly standard grid, and as you can see on the right hand side, this grid is set to show 100 records per page. There's actually 117 records on this page, so when I scroll down there's a reasonable amount of scrolling to do. Now if you've been using Knack for a little while, you'll be aware that you can set the table to just show 10 records or 25 records, but in many cases people want to see more records in one go. So beneath this table, which actually holds all the records, I then split it out to just show those that are pending. So there's 22 records here that are pending, and then beneath that there are 81 that are active, and then beneath that there is another table which shows those records that are inactive. So I've got 14. So if I add up my 14 inactive, my 81 active, my 22 pending, that gives me 117. So I've just set this up as an example, and lots of applications I've seen have multiple tables. So first of all, I'm just going to look at the top table, which is containing all 117 records. And as I mentioned, you can very easily come into the builder and change this from displaying 100 records to 10 and leave the box here to let the users change the amount. If I save that and come back to my live app, it will obviously reduce the height of this table considerably when I change it back to the 10 records. The only challenge is now that I'm showing 1 of 10 1 to 10 of 117 records. So I've got many pages, 12 pages to scroll through, and I can't easily see all my records in one go. Now I did do a video quite some time ago about adding a little bit of code for sticky headers, and I have mentioned in a previous video that you can easily do that now in KTL, so I'll show you how to do that. So back into the builder and onto my grid and go into settings, and if I paste in this shortcode, you obviously need to have KTL installed, and I've done various videos recently on how to add the loader. It's pretty simple. You can come to the configurator, uncheck everything apart from the loader and these two I'd recommend, and then right down the bottom you can then generate your configuration. I won't go into this too much because I have done separate videos for this on my channel. Okay, so we've pasted in the keyword which stands for sticky table header. The 10 is if there's more than 10 records, it will then stick the table so it's 400 pixels high. So I'm going to change this back from 10 records to show 100 records. Save this, back to my live app and do a refresh, and you can now see that I'm showing 1 to 100 of 117 records with 100 per page, and I now have a scroll on the right hand side. So I'm using a standard mouse with a scroll wheel, so you can just put your mouse inside here and scroll the records within this view. So now I'm seeing many more records. Obviously the user could change that to show 500, and now I'm showing all 117. And the height we defined of 400 is this height. It's the height of the table. I've now gone through and added the sticky table header code to my other tables, my breeds pending, my breeds active, and my breeds inactive. So in my live app, my top table is set to 100, well actually I'm still on 500, if I go back to 100, it's set to 100 records, and then all the tables beneath are also set to 100 and also have the sticky table headers. So as soon as you put your mouse inside and scroll, you can see all the records in one go. So now we're beginning to condense these views down a little bit. You can play around with the size of the view by simply changing the value here. So if you want this to be a larger grid in terms of height, you can increase or decrease that number. Another way to make your view easier for people to digest is to use grouping, which you're probably familiar with. So on this main table, I have my group column, and if I just scroll down, these are all in group 1, these are group 2, and then I've probably got some group 3 here. So in the builder, if I locate that table or grid, I can select the group and check the box that says group records based on the field's value. So back in the live app and do a refresh, and I'm now grouped these here. So these are all my group 1, and as I scroll down that disappears, and scroll down then I get group 2, keep scrolling, and then eventually I get my group 3 header. You're likely familiar with that if you've been using Knack for some time, but there is also now an easy way to be able to have these group headers stick, so when you scroll up they don't disappear off the top of the screen. Once again, I did a video a while ago which was some code shared to me by my good friend Craig Winnell, but it's since been incorporated into KTL. If you've already installed KTL, you'll hopefully be familiar that the first few lines are what's called the loader. And then a bit further down, you just need to add, if it isn't already there, underneath the section for KTL views set configuration, or set CFG, there is a line here called stick groupings with header. So all you need to do is change false to true, which is the same as if you're setting this up using the configurator. If I jump back to there, I just type stick. This is the option on the configurator to apply sticky groupings to grids with sticky headers. And when you check that box, that simply sets this value as true. So if I save that, head back to the live app and do a refresh, and now when I scroll, you'll notice that the grouping stays in place, and as the new group appears, when it gets to it, it then snaps to the new group. So we're in group 2, and then when group 3 comes up, it will snap to group 3. So it's the same as the code, but now all you need to do is simply toggle on this key switch here for stick groupings with header and set that to true. The final thing I'd like to share with you is the hide show views, which I used to call an accordion view, so you can expand and collapse. And it's just using the keyword _HSV for hide show view. And it's really simple to set up. There's only a couple of parameters. One is the amount of time it takes for the view to open or close, and the other is whether its default is open, so expanded, or false, where the view is closed. So if I go into the pages, this is my main table again, the top table, and onto settings. I've already put the keyword in here, so hide show view equals 200 milliseconds. So that's the amount of time, so a fifth of a second, that it will take for the view to expand or collapse. And I've set it to true, which means by default it will show the table. I'll go over to the live app and show you what this looks like. After a refresh, you'll see you have this heading here, and it is important to make sure that you actually do have a title, because it uses the title, which is, if I go back to settings, here, yes, it's using this title, all breeds, to give you this word here for all breeds. And then you get this little expand and collapse, and you can collapse the whole grid just by clicking on here. And at the bottom, there's also another link to shrink it. So if I navigate away from this page and come back, because this is set to default to show, it already has this set open. Heading back into the builder, this once again is my top table. I've added the keyword to the other three, so pending, active, and inactive. Simply click on the component, go to settings, and I've added the hide show view here, but I set it as false. So after a refresh, what I get is the other tables are automatically collapsed when the page loads. So this is now condensing my view down to make it really easy for people to be able to view large tables in one view without being overwhelmed. And I can obviously click on this to expand it, and then I scroll down, and then inside that I've got my sticky headers. I can collapse this one and expand active. There's 81 records, and I can now scroll within inside this table and see everything in one go. So I hope that you find this of use. This is very much about the kind of the user interface and making your app easier to navigate for people and making it also more aesthetically pleasing. So don't forget, if you do get some value from these, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming to do a few videos over the Christmas period. So keep tuned, set your notifications, and I'll catch up with you soon.